Hi, I'm Ingemar Hunnings, and I am the lead consultant and founder of Hunnings Consultancy Limited. And if I just bring up on screen, here we go, our team, and you'll see here there's me and Nick Richards in our team here, where you can read about this. You can pick the URL from the top of here. Now, we provide a lot of assistance to businesses, a lot in the legal sector, but then in other sectors as well, on data protection, GDPR compliance, and such, and indeed what happens when things go wrong. So I'm here with Nick Richards, who is the lead in our data protection compliance team. So good to see you, Nick.
Good to be here.
May I ask you a question about data breach? How quickly should a breach of data be reported, and what should people do?
Yeah, sure. The GDPR defines personal data breach as breach of security leading to the accidental or unlawful destruction, loss, alteration, unauthorized disclosure, or access to personal data. And data breaches are more common than I think a lot of people think. A very common example is where people send emails and accidentally send an email to the wrong address. And if you're using Outlook and you've got the auto fill on the address bar, then it's very easy to accidentally send an email to the wrong person. And if that contains any personal information, then that is a data breach. If it's a reportable breach, then you have 72 hours to report it. But the first thing to do when you identify that you have a data breach is to work out how it happened. If it's an email gone to the wrong address, then it's obviously very different, and the actions you take will be very different to if it's a cyber attack, a hack, a ransomware attack, that kind of thing. So the first thing is to identify how did this breach happen? And then you need to think about, obviously, if it's an IT issue that somebody's managed to get into your system, then obviously you would report that to your IT people, probably shut down your network until you can identify it. But from the GDPR perspective, the next important thing to do is to decide fairly quickly, because you only have 72 hours, whether this is a reportable breach or not to the ICO and also to the individuals who are affected by the breach. And it's a reportable breach if it's likely to lead to a risk to the rights and freedoms of the individuals, is how the GDPR defines it. So at the sort of bottom end of the scale, if I sent an email meaning to send it to Ingemar and I sent it to somebody else by mistake and it had Ingemar's name and home address in it, that probably wouldn't be a reportable breach because that information would be readily findable in a telephone directory or whatever. However, if at the other end of the scale, if a hospital had a data breach of 500,000 patient data, including all their medical records, that would clearly be a reportable breach. And there are two levels, really. One is the level where you need to report it to the ICO. And then there's another level where you would have to report that to the individuals affected as well. And we deal with data breaches. Generally, they're fairly minor ones, but quite often they are more serious and reportable. And as consultants, what we tend to do is help them decide whether it's a reportable breach. And then if it is a reportable breach, we give them the option of us actually doing a report. We work very closely with the ICO. We know them well. And if there's a borderline case, quite often we'll seek their advice as to whether they think we should report it to them or not. The ICO actually complained that they get too many non-reportable breaches reported to them. So it's quite important to do that exercise to work out whether we should or not.
Absolutely. Otherwise, they get drowned and they can't deal with the ones which are really serious. And just to say, the work that we do, then there's the immediate work, but then there's possibly an analysis of the systems, situations, the procedures, the policies that the organization has to try and then prevent this. And then also training the staff as well, which again is something that we can provide and helps to prevent the likelihood of this happening again, which of course your professional indemnity insurance would be interested to see that you're doing, and that may be reflected in a premium going forward. So there are commercial reasons for looking at this as well. Certainly for law firms, that professional indemnity insurance, whacking great sheet, and I'm sure it is for other industries as well. So thank you very much, Nick. That's really helpful. And if people have any questions or just want to talk about this topic, or God forbid, it's an emergency, please reach out to us, contact us through the website, or phone numbers and such like are available there. So I hope that's of assistance to people. Thank you.